Hello, hello. Welcome to Wednesday night flexible strength. We are going to start standing. I hope you're all very well. We're going to have quite a nice stretchy, open-y session today because I feel like that's what we need. So do, as ever, shout or flag or whatever if you have anything to tell me. You shouldn't feel like you can't speak. And do let me know if you've got any injuries or anything that's bugging you today. We're going to use our small balls, but again, if you don't have one, that's okay. You don't have to, everything we do with this we can do without, or you can use a cushion instead. And yeah, so we're going to start with the lovely stretchy, openy, standy, uppy bits. If we start standing, I'm going to wait here. I don't think anyone else will come, but just in case. So if we start standing in a comfortable position, so if you can, like if you've got a little squishy mat like mine, make sure you're standing on the floor instead, because we're going to do a little bit of balance work. Nothing major, but a little bit of balance work, which means it's easier if you're on a slightly surer footing, you're on a slightly harder surface. My squishy mat, I've just been practicing some of the things that we're doing and it was making me very wobbly. So planting your feet directly onto the floor. I'm going to chop my head off. I always chop my head off. I'm going to come a little bit further away with the computer. So yeah, take the feet directly underneath the two bony parts of your pelvis. So orientate yourself with your pelvis before you start. Just find those two protruding parts of the pelvis, little bony parts. And then I want you to release the feet down exactly underneath those two parts, if you can. If it feels more comfortable to be a bit wider, then consciously take it wider. And I want you to think about what we call the diaphragms of the body. So we have some shapes that are mirrored throughout the body, which is a sort of dome shape of the diaphragm. Thinking about the arches of your foot, so you have two little domes there, just release them into the floor, or releasing the feet down, noticing that soft lift of that dome shape. So just take a moment to imprint down the big toe, the little toe, the heel, and become aware of that sense of soft lift in between that space. We're not scrunching up the foot, we're just allowing that natural sense of curve to lift. Then imagine as you come up into the body, that mirroring shape, the shape of the pelvic floor in a soft dome, mirroring the dome of the arch of the foot, the pelvic diaphragm. And then as you further release up towards the rib cage, you have the breathing diaphragm, that lovely dome shape that's here nestled underneath your lungs. And as you take a deep breath in, the diaphragm descends down into your abdominal cavity. And as you breathe out, it rises back up. And then we're thinking about the dome shape of the soft roof of your mouth. And then the crown of your head. So think about those pieces of the body, spacing them evenly and directly on top of each other to orientate your body, to organize your body in this standing position. Just notice how that feels, have a sense of perfect balance to place those lovely dome shapes one on top of the other. And then try to breathe consciously within this shape. So let's just take the hands onto the ribs, unless you prefer having the arms down by your side. Just feeling the sides and the bottom of the rib cage and breathe into that space. So feel that soft, gentle pressure of the ribs expanding into your fingertips. And then breathe out. Notice them softly cinching down. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let's do 3 breaths here, just to come into the body, just to settle. Invite yourself home. Last 2 breaths. And out. And last breath like this, just finding the breath wide into that sides and bottom part of the rib cage. And then I want you to breathe in and just let the arms rise up. So allow them to rise as far as you feel comfortable. They don't have to go up in line with your ears, just nice and wide. Breathing out, release them down. And again, lifting and lengthening, spreading your arms. Let the shoulder blades stay soft and heavy in the back. So feel like almost a sense of downward connection with the shoulder blades as you, there we go, get my camera angled a bit better. As you allow the arms to lift up. Let's do one more like this, lifting up. And as you come down, let's rise up onto the toes. So pressing down through all 10 toes. Keep that big toe joint particularly nice and heavy. And as you lengthen the arms up, release the heels down. And again, floating the arms down, rising up onto your toes. And the slower and the more measured your movement, the more you know you have to work a little bit harder to consciously make it happen. We're going to do 2 more of these. Just finding that sense of the ankle joints working, the pressure and the energy into those toe joints. And then release the arms down, leaving the heels down as well. And now from here, we're going to just move into a movement of the spine. So we're not coming into a squat or a cat, but it's kind of a mixture of the two. So what we're going to do is come into a little bend and curl the spine round. We're going to add a little arm fold as if you're just hugging a lovely soft bun, a big teddy bear in front of you. Breathe in and we're going to come up. And again, so we're coming round with the spine. So as you're curling round, you're also bringing the pubic bone forward, tucking the tailbone underneath you. So really find that lower back lengthening and then open up through the spine. You can arch the back a little bit if it feels comfortable. And again, bending the knees, tucking the toes, tucking the tailbone underneath you. And then open. Just breathing as you feel comfortable here. So whether you feel like the out breath is better for the curl and the in breath for the open, or you may want to swap over. We're going to do 2 more. See if you can really find that sense of sending your tailbone underneath you to really find that tuck of the pelvis and then open up. And just gently let the chest release and then release the arms all the way down. Now from here, we're going to work more into that bending knee position. So I want you to find a position that doesn't aggravate any hip or knee stuff. So when I say that we're coming down as far as you can, it means really work into your own hip joint mobility. If this is as far as you want to go, that's fine. So I will be trying to come down as far as possible because we're going to be doing a little sweeping movement to try and touch the floor. But if for you that's here, that's totally fine. So work within your comfortable range. So just watching first. We're coming down into that sort of squat position, but this time, rather than tucking the tailbone underneath, we're sticking it back behind and sitting all the way down as far as we can. And in this movement, we're taking one arm down and swooping it up and across, little circles. And we're going to come down and swoop and up, down, swoop, and up. So really trying as you come down to keep those heels down. So go as far as you can without them picking up. We're trying to get the flexibility in the hip joints and in the knees. Got one more either side. Notice how you're controlling this movement. See if you can really feel the lower belly actively helping you here. Do an extra one because I'm uneven. And then release the arms down. Just let the spine settle. Come back into that standing position. So think about lengthening and lifting the domes of the arch of the foot, the pelvic floor, the diaphragm, the roof of the mouth, the crown of the head. Notice placing those domes of your body evenly on top of each other. And close your eyes just to kind of let your body settle within the sensations that it's feeling after the movement that it's been doing, coming back to your breath. So see if you can, even without touching that ribcage area, breathe wide and full into that low space underneath. Or imagine the diaphragm descending, so feel that you're breathing into the diaphragm and out. Breathe in and out. Good, now when you're ready, we're going to come back to that rising up onto your toes. So pressing the floor away, lifting up. And then release the heels down. And as you connect with the heels down, you're going to come down into a roll down. So rolling down bone by bone. Let the arms be floppity flop. Breathing in at the bottom. Now when you get to the bottom, you might want to just look up rather than doing this at the same time. So I want you from here to avoid, if you can, using your fingertips to help you, but you can if you're feeling wobbly. We're going to try and pick the heels up here and then release them down and then rise up back into your standing position. So breathing in at the top, or if you want to, you can begin where you are. We're rolling all the way down. The exact same mechanics for your ankles, but because the spine is in a different position, it feels very different. Lifting up onto your toes and then slowly lower and rebuild the spine. Shoulders release into the back, head lengthens up. When you find the head poised at the top of the spine, then rise up onto your toes once more. See how it feels without that flexed position of your spine. And as you lower, let's roll down, eyes down, chin down, rolling all the way down. When you reach the bottom, lifting up onto the toes, slowly lower, and then roll back up. So we're just trying to work into that arch support, the ankle mobility. When you rebuild the spine, lift up onto your toes, no rushing with this. Remember, just go at your own pace. Slowly lower, and we're going to slightly change it, but you can stay at this level if you prefer, because not everyone's going to love the next level. So from here, we're really comfortable in this roll down position, deeply engaged through the lower belly. You're going to pick up your heels. And then from here, if you need to, bend the knees as much as your body requires to then roll up with your heels lifted. So lots of work going on through the lower belly to help you restack in this toe-tipped position, and then release the heels down. Little bend of the knees if you need to soften off the ankle joints. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, let's roll down again. Heels nice and heavy on the floor. Feel very grateful for the ground underneath your feet. When you take it away, we're picking up the heels. Balancing on those toes, lift into the lower belly to help you. We're rising up bone by bone with the heels lifted. Whoops, you see I lose it right at the very end when I look at the camera. And then softly release the heels down. Take a breath in. Now we're going to reverse it. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, lift up onto your toes. When you're ready, and there's no, don't worry at all about having to drop the heels on it or bringing the fingertips to the floor. We're going to try and roll down, keeping those big toes connected. So my big toes like to flare up towards my nose, and I want you to keep them down as you roll down with the heels up, and then release the heels down and roll back up. So this is really hard, okay? Don't worry if you're finding it really challenging. It's really challenging for your balance and for muscles that you didn't even know were necessary to keep you supported and balanced. When you come up to your standing position, let's lift the heels again and do it one more time. Breathing in. As you breathe out, eyes down, chin down, deeply lift into the lower belly. I find this one much harder than rolling up. Maybe you'll be opposite. And then when you get to the bottom, lower the heels, roll yourself all the way forward, nod the head yes, shake the head no. And then with the full energy down through the soles of your feet, roll yourself back up. And let's just do a few arm circles. You can bring the legs a bit wider to give you a little bit more of a wide open stance. I want you to take the arm across the body and lift it all the way up, twisting in the spine as well as you release the arm down by your side, and then the other way, lifting up, twist and down, lift up, twist and down, lift and down. Last one either side, lift and lift. You might have to bend your elbow like me if you've got little bits in the way of your circling movement. And then from here, with the legs a little bit wider, you can bring them into parallel, or if you prefer, if it's nicer for your pelvis and hips, you can be in a slight turnout. So listen to your body in terms of what you prefer. What we're going to do is come into a little Pilates squat, but we're going to come down as far as we can go without losing our balance. So try and go down knowing that you have to get back up again, so don't kind of feel like you're tipping yourself over. My Achilles are quite tight, so I can go lower only if I lift up my heels, but you might be able to go slightly lower without having to lift the heels up, and then we're going to come back up. And then again, releasing the arms forward, sitting down as if you're sitting in a chair. So we're not tipping too far forward with the torso, we want to still keep quite upright. And then releasing ourselves back up. Let's do two more like this. Coming down. So keep your energy lifted through the chest and the eye focus, so we're not kind of hanging forward. And then pressing up. Last one. Really try and flex into those hip joints. And if you can, if you want to, sinking the tailbone all the way down if you're more flexible in your ankle joints than me. And then lift up. Oh, lovely, well done guys. Coming to the end of your mat. Nice and tall, so imagine those domes of the body, the arch of the foot, the pelvis, the rib cage, crown of your head. We're going to roll ourselves down, bone by bone. Finding the floor and then just walking yourself out. Very gently. You can, if you want, lengthen through the spine into a little plank for a moment, or just release the knees down immediately. I want you to open the knees and soften yourself into your rest position. So let the forehead come down. Breathe into the back of your body. So allow this to be a moment where you really feel the breath opening up into the spaces that you've just been working. So all around the hip and the pelvis, all around the lower back. And see if you can breathe into those shoulder joints a little bit as well. So notice how they're feeling. And then when you're ready, we're rolling ourselves up. Bone by bone. Grab hold, if you have one, of your small ball. And I'd like you to take your ball in between your knees and lengthen yourself into your 4-point kneeling position. So the hands are directly underneath the shoulders or a little bit further forward if you feel that's better on your wrists. Your hips and your knees are in line with each other. Check you've got enough room for your torso, but you haven't shortened the spine. Sometimes we kind of have the knees hanging behind us, so our back can feel a bit unsupported. I want you to feel like you've got enough space so that your hips are flexed, but not releasing back behind you. So you want to be able to activate through the torso, the lower abdominal muscles. Excuse me, take a breath in. As you breathe out, I want you to softly draw in through the lower belly and just gently squeeze your ball. Notice how squeezing the ball helps sort of intensify that lower belly connection. And then breathe in to let it release. And again, breathing out. Think about lifting through the pelvic floor and the lower belly, squeezing into the ball, just gently activating the inner thighs. And breathe in to let it release. Let's do 2 more like that. So breathing out. Feel that sense of lifting up through the abdominal, squeezing into the lower belly. You're not tucking the tailbone underneath. All we're doing is activating that deep core, the powerhouse, as Joe Pilates called it. Inner thigh, lower belly, pelvic floor. Last one. And softly release. And then as you breathe out, just gently find that powerhouse. So drawing in through the lower belly without tucking the tailbone. Feel that you're activating all the abdominal kind of soft obliques, lifting through the belly. And then I want you to tuck your toes underneath you and use that inner thigh connection to help you pick the ball up as you begin to send the tailbone towards the ceiling. I want you to keep the knees bent as long as you can stick the bottom up to the ceiling. So we don't want to straighten the legs if the spine starts curling. So think about really sticking your bum up and away. Breathe into the back of your body. And then as you breathe out, begin to lower that ball and the knees back down underneath the hips and lengthen the spine back to neutral. Let's do that again. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, lifting through your center, then picking up the ball and sending your bum towards the ceiling, lengthening the heels towards the floor, but don't worry about straightening the legs if it doesn't feel right. And then bringing the ball, bending the knees back towards the ceiling, the floor. And again, let's do that one more time, breathing in. As you breathe out, lifting through the lower belly, begin to pick up the ball, send your tailbone towards the ceiling, opening your heart center, and then release it. Lengthening the front of the legs, the feet rather. Let's take the ball away. Just place it in the middle of the mat for a moment and come back into your rest position, just releasing your forehead onto your ball. Take a moment to kind of let your head be heavy. Breathing in. And then when you're ready, coming back into your 4-point kneeling, and this time just have your ball just next to your right hand. So just sort of beyond and underneath, or behind rather, beyond and underneath, both the wrong word. And then from here, I want you to place your left hand, the back of the hand, just on the ball. Check that your spine is straight through the center, so we haven't wandered our bottom off to the right already. I want you to imagine there's a mirror on your mat, and you're keeping your reflection through the center of the mirror. So we're not wandering across to the side for this exercise. We're going to be twisting the spine, but not swinging the bum. So the back of the hand on the ball, take a breath in. And as you breathe out, begin to roll the ball towards the screen or towards me as you bend your right arm and twist through the spine. So your bum is going up directly to the ceiling, a bit like with your downward dog that you just did, rather than swinging from one side to the other. Breathe in here. As you breathe out, let's bring the arm back through center, and this time open the arm out to the side, lift up, and again, finding the ball and reach it through. And bring it back. And lift. Now lifting without swinging your bum takes a little bit of work, so think about twisting through the rib cage, your heart center, not your bottom. Now stay there if that was enough and you're liking it, otherwise lengthen your right leg behind you. We're going to add a little bit of a balance. So as you come to the right with the arm, you're going to lift that right leg up. And then as you pivot back, you're lowering the leg, the foot comes down, and then you open. Let's do that 2 more times, or you can keep in the knee, both knees down, or you can even have the leg extended but just not lift the leg. So whichever feels right for you, There's something very sort of satisfying about the seesaw element of having the leg up as you twist. Lift and lower. And then come back through center. Release your bum down. Circle that right wrist or open the palm to the ceiling. Just gently allow that wrist to completely relax. And then from here, I'm going to swivel around. But you don't have to swivel around. We're going to go the other way. So taking the ball behind the left arm. Hang on, let me just check I'm not going to kick over my glass of water. Taking your breath in. And as you breathe out, placing that right hand onto the ball, we're going to twist, bending this left arm. So allow this left arm to really help you come roll through the rib cage. And then bring the arm back through center, pressing through the floor with the left arm to open up into the right. And again, bringing it round, twist. Notice if one side feels easier than the other. Noticing as we come to the next stage, if you want to, you don't have to. The arm comes down, lengthen that left leg away, curling the toes underneath you. It might feel very different on one side compared to the other. We're going to lift up as we twist. And then we're lowering with control. And lift. And notice you can go a little bit further with your twist with the leg extended. And back. And lift. Last one. Remember, you can keep the leg extended but down, or the knee down on the floor. Oh, well done, guys. Circling this left wrist, placing the palm up to the ceiling. Release yourself down into your rest position. Maybe head on the ball, maybe not. If your head is on the ball, it's quite nice to just kind of roll it around. And then roll yourself up, bone by bone. Now the best part, lying down onto your back. So take a moment to adjust your bottom to the right place. We're going to take the ball in between the knees once more. Lengthen your arms out in front of you or take them behind your thighs. So whichever works better for your lower back, for your pelvis, for your pelvic floor, lower belly. Make sure you're listening to your body. So we're reaching the arms forward or hands behind the back. Gentle squeeze of the ball to activate the deep pelvic floor, inner thigh connection. Think about scooping the lower belly, so just little activation from the pubic bone up. And then I want you to lower yourself down with control. So imagine the feet are really heavy and you're releasing your spine down away from your feet. Remember, you can hold onto the thighs, roll with control. Allow the arms to float to the ceiling and bring the knees, or rather bring the feet, sorry, slightly further towards your bum. And organise yourself if you need to kind of make sure you're comfy. Squeezing gently the ball in between the knees. Let's breathe in to open the arms. Breathe out. Close. And as you breathe in, imagine inflating a huge balloon in front of you, a big lovely bubble. And then breathe out to softly close it. Breathing in to open. Breathing out, close, and this time gently squeezing the ball. So let's do that 3 more times, and with each out breath you're also now squeezing the ball a little bit more consciously. Breathing out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Last one. And then release the arms all the way down, keeping the ball in between the knees. Now, if you don't really love the ball in between the knees, just take a pillow or just have nothing. So we can do exactly what we're doing now, but without anything held between, sorry, I've got something underneath my foot on the mat. Taking a breath in. Now, as you breathe out, we're going to just tuck the tailbone underneath you, come into your spine curl. So gently elongating and lengthening your spine up to the top, bottom lifted, pubic bone the highest part of the body. So we're not dipping the hips and pinging the ribs up. We're really opening through the front of the hips, breathing in, breathing out, roll it down. So let's just do that a few times to kind of work out or work through the fluidity of your spine. Imagine each bone moving independently, like a string of pearls or a bicycle chain, rolling up independently, one followed by the other, breathing in and breathing out. Let's just do one more. And now from here, make sure your feet are comfortably, a comfortable distance, but close enough to your bum that when you're lifted up, you don't feel like the hamstrings are gripping at all. We want to really feel like our buttocks are working hard here rather than our hamstrings. And we're going to add a little bit more balance. So take a breath in, and as you breathe out, we're rolling up, bone by bone. Roll to a point where you feel comfortable, so maybe just sort of the bottom rib, feeling like the rib-hip connection there, you're really nice and connected through the front of the body. Feel your buttocks working here. We're going to take a breath in, and as you breathe out, lengthen your left leg away, and then bring it back. So keep that hip lifted. We're not dipping down as you send the right leg away. Bring it back. Let's do one more either side. Lift and release. Try not to dip those hips. Send the right leg away and release it down. Breathe in, allow the bum to lift up a little bit higher, and then breathe out. Roll it down bone by bone. Relax the shoulders. Let's float the arms up to the ceiling. Palms facing forward, shoulders nice and soft. In fact, let's do a couple of shoulder drops before we do the next thing. So palms facing in or forward. Breathe in, lift the left arm up. Breathe out, flop it down. Other side, breathe in. And let's do one more either side. Lift and release. Lift and good. Now from here, palms facing forward, take a breath in, and as you breathe out, reach the arms back behind you, but without letting the rib cage ping up to the ceiling. So imagine as your fingertips lengthening back, the rib cage is becoming heavier, and then float the arms up. Two more, breathe out and in. Last one, breathe out and breathe in. Leave the arms there. We're going to combine those two movements. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, wheeling up through the spine, bone by bone. Nice and lifted through the bum. Draw in through the pelvic floor. Find that lower belly connection. So we're really supported through the spine here. We're not going to allow the bum to dip and the lower back to feel compromised in any way. As you breathe in, lovely and full, prepare. As you breathe out, send your left leg away as you send both arms back behind you. Bring that left leg back. Leave the arms where they are. Reach the right leg away. And then float the arms back as that right leg comes back to center. Breathing in, breathing out. And again, send the left leg away, arms come back. And then bring the foot down, keep the tummy lifted, keep the buttocks working, right leg releases, and then the foot comes down, the arms come up, and then roll down through the spine. And then release the arms all the way down. Take a breath in. Now you can either keep your feet on the floor and bring the feet together, or bring the feet together, but then we're going to use our lower belly to float the knees up towards you. So double knee fold with the ball in between the knees, feet connected, or feet on the ground if you feel that's what your lower back needs. Let's bring the arms out by your side, palms facing up or down, depending on how you feel. Up is a little bit more open through the chest, down is a bit more supportive. Take a breath in and breathe out, drawing through your lower belly. So find that pelvic floor, lower belly connection. As you breathe in, we're going to take the knees across to the left, squeezing the ball. Keep the knees and feet connected so the feet are really glued together. We're not kind of wandering off and peeling away from each other. Breathe out, back through center. Breathe in to come to the right. Breathe out, back through center. Two more either side. In to come across. Out to draw it back. So feel the abdominals working harder as you bring the legs back through center. Try and keep that squeeze of the ball. Try and imagine the knees hugging in towards you as opposed to hanging off the pelvis. Last one over to the right. And back through center. Bring the ball away, hug the knees into the chest, and just gently roll from side to side. Let's just reach through the center of the legs, come into a little inner thigh stretch, just letting go of the hips, maybe a little bit of the bum, inner thigh, pelvic floor stretch. Now, before we get into a nice kind of stretchy movement and do some hamstring stretches, we're going to work the buttocks a little bit more by placing the ball on the floor and placing your feet on the ball. So, imagining, as we did earlier on, the dome shape of the arch of your foot. So now we have that dome shape really sort of actively underneath the foot. And the key for this exercise is trying to allow your foot to release into the surface area it is on and not grip and pull. We want to really feel a sense of active bum, active pelvic floor, active torso, but the hamstrings are soft and lengthened. So the hamstrings and the arches of your feet want to stay relaxed and chilled, and everything else wants to help the body to do what it's going to do. So let's just warm up with a little gentle exercise here. Bring the arms up towards the ceiling, breathing in. And as you breathe out, open the right arm out to the side and the left knee out to the side. So you're taking the left knee as far as it will go without tipping the pelvis. So try to keep those hip bones level to the ceiling and then bring it back through center. Other side, left arm comes out, right knee comes out, only going as far as your thigh bone could go without moving the pelvis, and then bring it back. Let's do two more either side. So right arm, left leg, and back. Now this exercise is kind of as hard as you make it. So as you take the knee away, really deepen the abdominals. Feel like you're actively trying to strengthen and stabilize the torso as your limbs are moving. So feel that turning up of the abdominals, that lower belly connection, pelvic floor, and back. Open the right leg, left arm, and back. And then release the arms down by your side. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, let's squeeze the buttocks first and then release. I want you to just really actively draw that or connect and engage the buttock muscles, drawing into the bum and then breathe in to let it release. Let's do it again and again. Squeeze and lift and release. We're not lifting the bum per se. I want you just to squeeze the muscles and release as you breathe in. Last one, breathe out, squeeze. And release. So that hopefully has warmed up your bum to know what it needs to be doing a bit more. We're going to take a breath in, and as you breathe out, tuck the tailbone underneath you and roll up through the spine. So the feet are pressing into your ball as you're lifting the bum up to the ceiling. Breathe in, so it's buttocks, pelvic floor, not hamstrings too much here. Breathing in, breathing out, roll it down. And when you get to the bottom, I want you to lengthen the legs away and then draw them back in. Let's do that 2 more times. Reach away, long hamstrings, flex into the heels if you can, and then bring the heels back in. Pop the strong, sort of arches back onto the ball. Last one. This time add the arms, long body, and then bring it back in. Let's do that again, breathing in. As you breathe out, tuck the tailbone underneath you. Remember, long feet, so lengthening into the arch. Lift the bum, inner thighs, lower belly, pelvic floor, soft shoulders. Breathe in. Breathe out, roll it down. Relaxing those shoulders. Lengthen the leg away, flexing into the heel. And bring it back. We'll bring them back. And again, lengthen. Draw them back in. And last one, lengthen and add the arms. And lifting up. And bring the feet back in towards your bum. Let's just pick the ball up and place it to one side for now. Bring your feet to mat width apart. And I want you just to windscreen wipe your legs. So a lovely free movement now, because we've had quite a controlled and tight movement. Let's see if we can just free up the movement slightly, rolling into the hips. And then if you'd like to, you don't have to, place the ball underneath your bum for the next bit. But again, you don't have to, especially if you feel like that might make you feel a bit wobbly. We want the ball to be underneath the pelvis and not underneath the dome of the lower back. So you want to feel like you've got your sacrum evenly releasing, so the hip bones and the pubic bone are level. We're not arching the back over the ball. Floating one leg in, followed by the other. So if you don't have the ball underneath your bottom, that's totally fine. Same thing, just come into this knees to chest, hug it. And then taking hold of your left knee, release your right leg all the way along, finding the floor, flexing into the heel if you can, just to kind of gently connect into the floor. And then try and release the front of that hip. So the ball just gives you a little bit of added angle for the stretch. But if it makes it too wobbly or makes you feel vulnerable, take it away. Breathe. And then we're going to take hold around the back of that left leg and grow the leg towards the ceiling. Flex into that heel. Circle the ankle. Change direction. And then bring the knee back in, hug it in. Finding that hip flexor stretch once more. And then float the right knee in, send the left leg away, finding the floor, flexing into that heel as you draw the right knee in towards you. Try and find that sort of weight behind the left calf muscle, seeing if you can really drop it down in towards the mat. Breathe. And then when you're ready, hands behind the thigh, grow that heel up towards the ceiling, flexing into the heel, then point and flex and circle, trying to get as little bit of movement into that ankle joint as you can, as much rather. Change direction. And then bring the knee back in towards you. Bring that left knee in once more. I'll just check how we're doing for time. And then from here, just release one foot down, followed by the other. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, tuck the tailbone underneath you. Let's come into a little roll, spine curl rather. Take the ball away, place it to one side, breathing in, breathing out, roll it down. And let's do 2 more, just releasing the spine with no pressure. Noticing how much easier it feels to have the feet nice and heavy into the floor. Let the arms support you and just allow your spine to melt down. On the next one, we're going to break down the movement. back down to the mat into 3 different breaths. So take a breath in at the bottom. As you breathe out, wheel up through the spine. Take a breath in at the top. And as you breathe out, imagine just releasing through the breastbone only. So finding the bottom part of the rib cage on the mat. Breathe in again here. And then breathe out. Find further down the spine into maybe the middle part of your waist, just above your navel. Breathe in here. And then breathe out, roll through the lower spine to find the pelvis. And then maybe pause once more and then release. Finally allow the sacrum, the tailbone, to drop back down towards the mat. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, wheeling up. Breathing in at the top. And keeping the buttocks lifted, the pelvis lifted. We're just finding that top part of the rib cage. Breathe in now. And breathe out. Iron it down a little bit further. Breathing in. Breathing out. Wheel it down through the lumbar spine. Maybe keep the tuck of the pelvis until the very last minute. Let the hinge of the hips come back. Release the tailbone down. Let's do that one more time. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathe in. And soften. Breathe in. Soften. Breathe in, keeping the tailbone lifted, and breathing out, iron back down through the final part of the spine. And then come into a full body stretch once more, both arms, both legs releasing up and away behind you, in front of you. And breathe out. And then bringing the knees into the chest. And let's roll over onto your side. Press yourself up to sitting. I want you to come up onto all fours. And then take you can mirror me, so whichever is the leg out to the side to mirror me. So it's my right leg, it might be your left. And I want you to come up into this half kneeling position, half lifted. We're not going to do anything too brutal here. I know we did the other week, didn't we? So from here, I want you to allow your right arm, or whichever arm is on the extended leg, just to rest down on that thigh and then lift up the opposite arm. And then you're just going to lengthen up and over. So really feel this lengthened part of your body. That's my left side, it might be your right side. Breathe into that space. And breathe out. We're now going to just lower ourselves down, find the floor and lift up with this right arm. And then I want you to circle gently, touching the floor and lift up. Let's do that 2 more times. We're going to touch the floor and lift. Last one, swooping down with the arm, lifting up. A little bit of active core work just to lift yourself back up through center. And then come back down into a 4-point kneeling position, but with this leg out to the side. And you're just going to come into a little cat and then lengthen away. A little cat, sending the tailbone underneath you and lengthen. One more here. Curl the tailbone and lengthen. Bring that knee back in underneath you. Maybe come back through your rest position for a moment. And then you're going to come back into your 4-point kneeling. Make sure you've got enough space around you to send the other leg out to the side. And then we're going to rebuild, coming up into that half kneeling position. Floating the arm up, resting the other arm on the thigh as you reach up and over. Now you might feel that one side is a bit tighter than the other. Really try and lift out through this hip and into the waist. Imagine you're sliding between 2 panes of glass, so we don't want to be kind of rolling forward or opening up. Breathe. And then float back through center and then lower yourself back down with control. Find the floor, lifting up through this arm, and we're going to circle. And then lift And circle, just breathing as you feel appropriate, so as your body is called to, breathing in maybe and breathing out, whatever feels right for you. Last one. And then a little bit more abdominal work to lift you back through center. And then we're going to lower ourselves down into your 4-point kneeling with a different kind of tripod, and then tuck the tailbone underneath you and lengthen away. Tuck underneath you and release. Last one. Releasing back through center, bring that knee in, roll yourself down into your rest position. Maybe circling the wrists if you need to, maybe bring the palms to face up. And then rolling yourself up to your sitting position. You're going to then adopt your relaxation position of choice. So lying down either on your back or your side, lengthen your legs up to the wall, if that feels good for you, or you can always drape them over the side of the sofa or the bed. Take a few moments to get yourself into your comfortable, relaxed position. And I want you really to allow the ground underneath you to feel fully supportive of your weight. So make sure your comfy pillows underneath your shoulders, your head, your hips. And then take a moment just to settle into the body. Notice your heart rate. Notice the pace of your breathing. And try to invite a sense of stillness by deeply breathing into that space. So take a breath in, maybe for a count of 5 or 6. And breathe out for a count of 6 or 7. Breathing in and out. Just continue with that breath for 5 more breath cycles, just allowing the exhalation to lengthen. Just 1 or 2 beats longer than your inhalation. Begin to notice any tension you might still be holding on to around the body. Notice your forehead. See if you can let your eyebrows just soften a little bit more. Relax the features of your face, your eye sockets, your jaw. And then bring the awareness down from that point, so around to your throat, your breastbone, your rib cage. Can you feel that you can allow the bottom of your rib cage to soften and feel heavier with each exhalation? Allow your belly to be soft as you breathe in. And stay soft on the out breath, so allow the pelvic floor, the buttocks, the hips just to release and soften. Think about your hips, backs of your thighs. Try just to let go of anything you might still be holding on to, and allow the ground to fully take your weight and support you. And whenever you feel like your mind is wandering, just come back to that anchor of your breath. So see if you can count the breath in, count the breath out. And stay here for as long as you feel supported and nurtured by the position. And I will see you next week. Next week is the last of this block. And then I thought we could do a 4-week block after that, so that then half term arrives, if you can believe it. So have a lovely rest of your evening, everyone, and I will see you next week.